Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jack Hudson as always, and today we are going to be ranking everything I've read, comic books, manga, books in general. We're going to be ranking them all. Sorry for the voice, I've just come back from a cold. It's one of those I feel fine now, but like obviously my voice is fucked, but I feel fine. So, a couple things before we start. I am going to be turning this channel into a booktube channel. I'm going to be talking about comic books. I'm going to be talking about manga. I'm going to be talking about fucking books in general. And you know, for this year, I'm going to be primarily focusing on reading Brandon Sanderson books. I've already started this year reading two of them, and then I will be doing reviews as I go along of those Brandon Sanderson books. And anything else I read, like comic books and manga, if I feel like making a quick video about it, this is what this channel's for. For my main video essays and live streams that I do with Peter, that's going to be over at the Black Hudson channel. Click the link down below. If you like what I do here, you'll like what I do over there. I have a Dune video that's got like 30K views that I did last March. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever made. Make sure to check it out. But without further ado, let's go into this. I primarily make these tier list videos. Wanted to just show people my reading taste and stuff like that. But also I've been doing it for like 4 years now, and I think it's just or 3 or 4 years now. I think it's just a good way of showing what I like. So like I rewatch some of these videos and just like, oh, that's interesting, my take on that and how it's evolved and stuff like that. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Let me just take a little quick sippy sip here of wonderful sparkling ice. Beautiful for the soul. Also, I'm getting married this year, guys. I'm getting married. I proposed last October, and it's been going great. We've really been enjoying the engagement. But your boy's going to be married of 2025 to the beautiful Stephanie. Love you so much. You don't watch my videos, but that's okay. All right, here we go. So, Berserk, obviously S tier. I only read Golden Age just because I felt like it this year. I don't know what came over me. Berserk is like the foundation of dark fantasy, much like Lord of the Rings is the foundation of fantasy. And obviously, Lord of the Rings has its bad knockoffs. Manga has really bad edgelord fucking knockoffs from Berserk as well. But you know what? The Golden Age arc proves that Berserk is flawless and will continue to be flawless. Also, if you want to read Berserk, Goodnight Poon Poon, Vagabond, Vinland Saga, pick up the official versions. Never ever subject yourself to the translate. I know those guys try the best to translate the material, but nothing beats, number one, reading it on like clean pages, like those huge oversized Berserk books that I have. It's just the best way to experience Berserk, especially the oversized stuff. It's the best way to get it in your hands and read it. You know, or buy it on like Comixology or whatever they have for digital manga and stuff like that. Because the translated scans sometimes they're just bad. They're just terrible. You want that premium stuff. So obviously, also it supports creators and stuff like that. And the companies that pump these mangas out. Now, if it's like a B or C tier list, like fucking manga, but like if you want to read one of the classics, you got to go with the official translations. Then we got Goodnight Poon Poon. This wrecked me emotionally. I've had it collected for years and years. And then this year, I finally sat down and read it, and I was just fucking heartbroken. This is one of the most heartbreaking mangas of all time. The tagline is a slice of life that slices back, and that's so fucking true. The art is incredible. It's so emotional and raw. And yeah, I really like it. I would recommend, if you are going to read Goodnight Poon Poon, make sure that is the only media, anything you are consuming at that time. Don't go play like a 100-hour JRPG while you're reading this. Read it all in one go. It's totally worth it to get into that mood, get into that atmosphere. Then we have Magic and Muscle. I think this is a fine action comedy shonen. Art is pretty decent. It doesn't really go too crazy, in my opinion. But it's a fun time. It's a fun read. You know, it's like under 200 chapters. Yeah, like if you got nothing else to read and you have the Shonen Jump app, pick it up. Then we have Sakamoto Days. This is like a premium example of like great shonen action. Like, it is so off the chain. It reminds me of like early Jujutsu Kaisen when they were trying, you know. I'm not putting Jujutsu on here. I still gotta process, like, for most of these I've read it from like beginning to end, whereas like with One Piece and like JJK, My Hero and stuff, like I read those as the chapters were coming out, and that kind of disassociates for me from like just reading it as a whole. Like, a lot of people complain that, like, you know, while Wano was coming out, Wano's pacing is a little like waiting for that week to week. But when you read Wano all in one shot, then like you realize how goated it is. So that's my take on this. That's why JJK's not here. That ending obviously fumbled the fucking bag. But maybe I'll make a future video about JJK if you guys really want. Then we have Kaiju number 8. Kaiju number 8 is it's good action. It's very simplistic, but it's simple shonen done right. Sakamoto beats it out a little bit more because it has a little bit of characterization in there, but Kaiju number 8 is nothing to scoff at. The art is amazing. The creature designs are really amazing, and I think we're wrapping up pretty soon with Kaiju number 8, so very excited on that. At least that's the general vibe. I don't know if it's official, but yeah, Kaiju number 8, really, really fun. Dandadan. Oh, Dandadan is so good. It's an S tier manga, dude. I want to reread it again, and the anime was absolutely fantastic this year. I watched that. Yeah, Dandadan is so good. It's just so off the wall and wacky. It's like every weird thing that I like into a manga, if that makes any sense. Get that premium cough for you. Dandadan is so good. The characters that are introduced are so well done. Me and Peter talk about it constantly on the live stream, so make sure to check that out to get full thoughts. But like, yeah, Dandadan is excellent. If you're gonna read anything in that Shonen Jump read Dandadan. So good. Catch up to it because it's been consistently good too. There's been like no pits and falls to it. Jesus. All right, Tomei, Juji Ito. I like okay on. You know, I'm not like the art is spectacular. The art is very creepy, but like I don't like the story format of it. You know, I know I'm in the minority here, but I mean, it's still good though. It's still good. It's not S tier for me though. You know, it's not S tier. I don't know. Maybe I'm just desensitized to horror and stuff. Like, I appreciate the art, the story, not so much. I think, then Uzumaki obviously is the better one. Although Tommy's nothing to scoff at. Like, these are not to scoff at, and you should definitely read them. I just don't like the storytelling in them. It's very weird and episodic, and to me, I just, I don't know. Then we have Images Transformers. This is part of their Netron verse, something like that. It's very, very good. Written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. This art is so fucking good, dude. It's real fucking good. Then we have Duke, which is good as well. How should I? Yeah, you know what? No, I'll put you here, and I'll put this one's by Robert Kern. I'll put you there. So like, Transformers and G.I. Joe, it's a universe where they cross over. The Duke one by Joshua Williams is really, really good. Then Void Rivals is good as well. These two are about on par, I think. But yeah, definitely check out that universe. It's a fresh take on both G.I. Joe and Transformers. Comic book format, and it's really good. Godzilla Half-Year War. This will go right here. This is like a huge love letter to, or Half-Century War, sorry. This is a huge love letter to Godzilla. It is drawn beautifully and written by James Stroker, I believe his name is. I'll put his name up on here. But yeah, just beautiful, beautifully done. And like one of the better Godzilla stories. In comic book format and just in general, I really like this one. The Last Ronin. Last Ronin is good. Last Ronin is like right here. Last Ronin is like a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles classic comic book story. You know, with the IDW stuff, that's just all good, and I would put it above Last Ronin, but Last Ronin is good from like the original creators, just giving a dark. It's basically Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meets The Dark Knight Returns. It's really good. The art is very consistent. And yeah, it's just a good Ninja Turtle story. What else is there to say? All right, so let's go to the ultimate. All right, this one's Ultimate Invasion. Pretty good setup. Jonathan Hickman sets up basically the new Ultimate Universe. It's a good setup book. The maker, aka Ultimate, Reed Richards, aka Ultimate Mr. Fantastic, is now creating a new universe in which he is in control, and he has pawns that do all his scheming and stuff. And like, this Ultimate Universe is so good. So the Ultimate Universe was meant for the young millennials, like young Spider-Man, young this, young that. This is made for modern day millennials, Gen Zers, and like them wanting to exist somehow in this world. It's very, very good. Ultimates is so good. Oh my god. The new Ultimates book is really good. I'll put you like right here. It's gonna be weird to mix like comic books in here, but we're gonna do it anyways. Yeah, no, like so good. Issue 4, where it's going through Doctor Doom in the Ultimates, but he's actually Reed Richards, and like it sets off like I think it's a 3 or 4 panel thing where it's telling 4 stories at the same time. So like the top panel is doing a completely different story from that one, and they're all different time periods, like past to future kind of thing, and like to other events. It's so good. You have to pick up, if you're gonna pick up any Ultimate comic, it's Ultimates and Ultimate Spider-Man. This is everything I've wanted in a Spider-Man comic for so long. Mary Jane and Peter Parker are married. They have these awesome kids, and like, yeah, there's some action in this book, but it more reads like a really mature slice of life. Like the Christmas issue is just like Mary Jane and her in-laws coming over, and like just the family drama of it all, and like you're rooting for like J. Jonah Jameson and Ben Parker to like, succeed in their new newspaper company, and like Harry being the Green Goblin of this universe, and him teaming up with Spider-Man, Peter. Like, it's such a refreshing take. It's fantastic. Jonathan Hickman is knocking it out of the fucking park with Ultimate Spider-Man. I can't recommend the book enough. Then we have Absolute Superman. Absolute Superman is good. It's still yet to convince me. There's a lot of good stuff with the Krypton stuff. Superman actually being on the Absolute Universe planet. Basically, the Absolute Universe is the counterpoint, is DC's version of the Ultimate Universe, where the whole entire Earth or universe is created by Darkseid. So this is like, what if Superman grew up in a Darkseid universe, basically. Excuse me. And I think out of the 3 Absolute books we've had so far, Superman is the weakest one to me. It still needs to convince me a little bit more. But by no means is it a bad book at all. It just it needs a little bit more time for me to really get into it. I'm still like, Clark's character is still growing on me. Let's just say this version of Clark. And then we have Absolute Wonder Woman, which is absolutely awesome. It's Wonder Woman if she was raised in hell. That's sick. And she's just such a good character. This is like a more brawly Diana, but also like, I don't know, I've just never been so excited for like a Wonder Woman book since like the New 52 Wonder Woman. I really like that run by Brian Azzarello, but this Absolute Wonder Woman is fantastic too. Obviously Absolute Batman is the best one. Big chunky Batman where he's not super rich, and he's like, he even has like villains in the original universe like Riddler, Killer Croc, and stuff like that are his friends that he grew up on the streets with in this universe. Like, he's much more street conscious and stuff like that. And Alfred being this cool secret agent guy who's like spying on Batman / Bruce Wayne. It's so good, and like the black mask is really awesome, and like I love the art design of it too. Scott Snyder is doing a great job with Absolute Batman. Like the Absolute Universe is like, here's all the new 52 stuff, but just in a separate universe and not in mainline continuity. Everyone's like, fuck yes, we love this. Absolute Flash and Green Lantern, I believe, are coming out soon, so can't wait to see that. And yeah. Then we have Viltrumite, I believe this is called. This is like a hybrid of a graphic novel. So basically, it's a manual to a game that doesn't exist, but the manual gives you all the lore and stuff like that. It tells a pretty good story. I read the first volume of this. There's a second volume. This is just kind of a fun read. I enjoyed it for what it was. But besides that, yeah, it's just a fun little concept of a thing. The artwork in there is really, really good. All right, so now we've got all the artsy fartsies. Nothing in D tier, you know. I haven't read anything that I was just like Patua that I read from chapter 1 to final chapter. Like, all these have been really good so far. This is not going to be an overall negative list, let's just say. All right, the 11th Metal. This is a short story, which I also reread for 2025. So this one will reappear. This one won't because I finished Mistborn in 2024 at the like December 2024. Last Metal is just telling Kelsier kind of origin of how he found the 11th Metal. Gives it a little bit more character. Yeah, it's just kind of a short story. It's 25 pages. Gets you the feel of the Mistborn universe. But Mistborn is still really freaking good. Mistborn is fantastic. The way Brandon Sanderson explains the magic system and stuff. And I'm in the middle. I'm almost done with I gotta stop shaking the fucking camera. Wells of Ascension, better than the first Mistborn. And like, I heard that book was really slow. It is, but like, once you're set in the universe that Mistborn sets up, that Brandon Sanderson sets up, it's so good. And this is like the MCU of like fantasy books. So if you want to get into fantasy, Mistborn is a great place to start. Especially if you care about world building and like magic systems, stuff like that. Really, really fun read. Slow to the start because with any first fantasy book, it's trying to introduce you to the universe. But Mistborn does it so well. Then we have Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Obviously, this is a childhood favorite of mine. I would put it like right here. Yeah, just classic YA novel. I always start Percy Jackson and I read Sea of Monster and I fucking, that book sucks. It's one of Rick Riordan's like worst. But then I think I gotta start with Titan's Curse and then move on from there. I've read all of the mainline Percy Jackson books, the main series of Percy Jackson, and then I think I finished Heroes of Olympus. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I stopped halfway through. I don't remember. It's been a while since I read these books. My friend Tyler is a huge fan of Percy Jackson, so he's probably yelling at me not putting it in S tier. But yeah, all over classic. Then we have Rise of the Ranger. Honestly, I think I put this higher. My original video. I'm gonna put it a little lower because I didn't really remember it that much. It was a fine enough time. I guess I would put it in C tier actually. I think this is a good book. I don't remember most of it. I'll be honest. I don't remember most of it. I remember it being a good time, but other than that, don't really remember much about it. But I do want to continue on with that series. I've heard it's very good and it only gets better. The Echo Saga. I'm not knocking it down. I'm just leaving it in C because maybe my memory is faulty. Maybe I really liked it at one point, but I don't remember a drive to continue reading. Maybe one day I'll get to it, but right now I'm focused on Sanderson, so the Echo Saga is taking a backseat. Then we have Untethered Skies. I did not like this little novella from Fonda Lee. I love Fonda Lee for her Green Bone Saga. I'm thinking of rereading the whole trilogy because I never finished the last one, but it's been years since I read the first two. And those first two books are so good. And I've heard the third one is excellent too. So yeah, this one didn't do much for me. It was like very quick, and it didn't reek a lot of confidence. Like the writing is fine enough, but like the story and characters, it didn't grab me. You know, it like a below 200-page novella should be like a quick read. It should feel like a breeze, but this one, like, it felt long. which is a bad thing for a novella to feel like. Maybe it's just me, but it didn't really grab me. Sword of Kaigen is so good. Oh my god. So good. If you're into anime and stuff, like Sword of Kaigen is so good. It's about this little village, and then this event happens, and this mother has to take care of everything. But you also, like you shift points of view constantly between her children and her, and like what she's going through in this like super oppressive small village that she's grown up in, and like what her past life used to be like when she met something, and now she was just like forced to marry this noble lord, and like she's been like, I love my children but I hate my life kind of thing. It's like an indie film in a fantasy book. It's so character driven and it's so fucking good, and everyone should pick up Sword of Kaigen. Very, very hype. Very, very good. Then we have Neil Gaiman's American Gods. American Gods is really good. I am not going to see, it's well written and it has a good story, good characters. Now, Neil Gaiman is going into fire. I don't know if any of the allegations they're still going on. I don't know if there's a trial or anything, so I'm not going to speak on that, but he's been accused of very bad things. So I don't want to get too into the weeds with that, but that doesn't change the fact American Gods was written hopefully before he did all that bad stuff. But it's still a classic novel. Really good. The prose are fantastic. Shadow as a character is so deep and in depth. And just the way Neil Gaiman explains mythological characters from all different mythologies is just so good. I've said mythology like a million times. But yeah, like American Gods is so good. Angel of Darkness, I'm going to put like down in D. This is a 40K novel. It's weak for me. It says the secrets of the Dark Angels. You learn about them and stuff like that. But like the way the novel was set up, and like the secret's revealed, but nothing feels like it's happening of substance. It's like really weird. It's like one of the Dark Angels from like during the Horus Heresy is being tortured by the modern day Dark Angels because they're like, oh, we don't want to expose that the Dark Angels actually, some of them worked through the Horus Heresy. So like the Dark Angels, while killing Xenos is their main thing, their side mission is to like make sure that secret never is revealed to the galaxy. So they're like super secretive, super paranoid. So they want to kill anyone who was like part of pre-heresy stuff that might have sided with Horus. And they do pose an interesting theory of like Lionel Johnson, was he going to turn traitor last minute? That's not an answer that's questioned, but it's an answer that's posed, and that stuff is really good. But it makes up maybe 20% of the book. The rest of it is just like, what are we doing here? We're kind of building the Dark Angels, but like not, I don't know. Like the writing was just not there for me. Avenging Sun. This was good. This is like what's happening currently in 40K. It's like a series. I believe it's called Dawn of Fire. I might pick up more of these books later on. This was a pretty good book. Like 40K books are hard because they don't really go in depth with the characters unless if it's a character focused book. And this was just like, all right, let's get you caught up to speed here. So yeah. All right, then these two are Monarch books. This one is about Gilliman. This is just an action sequence basically with Oryx during the Horus Heresy, and that's about all there is to it. You know what? Let me move this. Yeah. That's about all there is to it. Same with Magnus, it's like how Magnus was created, but I still wasn't a huge fan of it. I mean, it's fine. Like, C is fine. C is not bad. It's just fine. Then we have the Dark Lord material. Why can't I remember the author's name? He's like a very famous Dam Abedin? No. Yes? I can't think of his name. But like, this is like a bunch of short stories from the 40K universe. This is really good. If you want to get into 40K, you can start here if you just want a really long short story book. And also introduces a bunch of his series like Gauntlet's Ghost. I believe there's even a Eisenhower short story in here. Really, really good stuff. There's a Horus Heresy short stories as well. All right, we got Dune, baby. I read all 6 Dune books this year. The original Brian, don't ever let me say that again. Frank Herbert books. The only in continuity Dune, as far as I'm aware. Maybe I'll do a whole video on Brian Herbert, but Dune's a classic. Dune is Dune. You know, people call it robotic. People call it very dense. But the way Dune affected science fiction and fantasy in general is crazy. Like, obviously, like reading some of Mistborn, I could see in certain characters some Paul Atreides stuff, and I'm reading Brandon Sanderson's graphic novel White Sands, and that has a lot of Dune elements in it. Dune is just influential. Dune is everything. Dune Messiah right there. This is basically an epilogue. Like, if Dune was slightly longer, this would all just be one book. Like, Dune is an excellent epilogue. Basically, Frank Herbert's like, here's his thesis, don't trust charismatic leaders. And then the Dune people who read Dune are like, oh, this is like supporting of taking over a culture and how that's like a good thing and stuff like that. He's like, that's not the whole point. And like, Paul isn't meant to be a good character. He's a morally gray character, okay? Check out that in my video over at Black Hudson. Paul is not the hero of Dune. Dune Messiah elaborates on that. It's like basically epilogue. I won't spoil it for anyone because that's going to be the third Dune book or the third Dune movie. But yeah, these are like right on par with each other. And the messaging is so clear. And dude, I don't know how people still today, like that comment section made me want to throw a gasket because the amount of like comments like, no, Paul is the hero. He's not. Anyway, he's the protagonist of the book. That doesn't mean he's a good guy. Oh, jeez. All right. Anyways, Children of Dune is like maybe like right here. I think it's okay. I think it's fine. Really, I just needed these first two. Children of Dune is a nice little add-on bonus, a little bow on top. The concepts of God Emperor Dune are good. However, it follows a sandworm. I will not elaborate because that would be spoiling, and they are thinking of making a Dune 4. If they make main character, won't say his name, Sandworm, that's going to be an absolutely insane book, and people are going to be like, what the fuck? Like, progressively after Children of Dune even has some weird shit, but like past Children of Dune into God Emperor Dune is where we get into the weird shit. But yeah, God Emperor Dune, great concepts, but like not really paid off very well. I will put this like right now. Like right here, yeah. Heretics of Dune. This one is where we get into the really weird stuff. I will put this. Let's move you right there. Chapter House is like pretty much on par. Yeah, it like ends in a cliffhanger, but like the way Chapter House ends, I feel satisfied with it. If there was another Dune book, I don't know if it would be as good as Chapter House Dune. Overall, Dune as a series, pretty great. If you want to stop after the third one, great. Hell, if you want to stop after 2, fantastic. I think like people read Dune and then never read Messiah. It's like you should absolutely read Messiah. It's like literally an epilogue to Dune. Yeah, it's so weird how it's like considered the black sheep. I'm like, how? It's so good. It wraps everything up. Yeah. Ooh, Red Rising, Lightbringer. We're getting close to Red God. Dude, Lightbringer is so good. Oh my god. The ending of Lightbringer, for those of you who are Red Rising fans, I was like, what? There's 30 pages after that? Like, that's where you're going to end it? But I'm a little scared because Darrow's arc, it kind of is at its wrapping up point, you know? So I'm afraid for him in Red God. I don't know if Darrow's going to make it out. If Servo goes, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry for days. All the characters are really well done. Like, Lightbringer is like on par with like Dark Age for me and like Golden Sun. Like those are the top 3. I think I would put Lightbringer at like number 3. I think it would go Lightbringer, Dark Age, and then Golden Sun for me. But like, oh, Lightbringer is so good. Like I just devoured it all in one sitting. It was excellent. I like to the point where it's left off and now I have to wait. I think like once Red God comes out, I'm going to call out of work and just read through all of Red God. The other sci-fi series I started that I hope to finish in 2025 is the Sun Eater series. This is really good. The first book, Sun Eater, is slow. It's building up the universe and it is building up the character, but it's not quite finished yet. That's where the second book comes in, Howling Dark. But Empire Silence If you stick with it, it's really good. It's a really good jumping off point from Red Rising. The series get compared a lot, but they're very different. They just kind of exist in like this space opera setting. And they're the two most popular ones in the reading world so far. I would say start with Red Rising out of the two, but like if you really like Red Rising and want more of that kind of like dark, like billions dying kind of atmosphere that Dune, created, then like Empire Silence and Red Rising are really good with that. Howling Dark is obviously better. I would put it I put it above Mistborn. Yeah, I'm such a diehard fan. Yeah, this is out of enjoyability though. Okay, out of enjoyability, I think like right here. Yeah, Howling Dark is really. I heard Demon White, which is the third book. I hear that's great. I read the 2 spin-off books. There's, I think, another one. I don't think I'll do the short stories. I heard those are kind of mid. Lesser Devil is like, okay. It was fine, I guess, for what it was. And then Queen Amid Ashes is just kind of a side adventure. I think it's slightly better than Lesser Devils, but not by a whole lot. Then we have my first time reading 1984 without it being a college assignment, high school assignment. This is a fantastic book. George Orwell, obviously magnum opus. It's so, I don't want to get into the politics of like, my personal politics. I don't want to like be divisive to anyone. Here, let me move down my screen because we're getting a little heavy here. Or we're getting a little crowded. Let me put it like right there. It's used by both political parties in ways that it's like a book used as a weapon. It's like, here's what this side is doing to us. It's like 1984. It's like, no, here's what it's using to you. It's kind of a Rorschach in a way of like where you align politically, and who you believe is censoring. Now, I'm not going to get into the depths of my opinions on it, but like it is interesting to see the themes of the book and how it does relate to real life in the media landscape that we are currently in. How it just kind of how censorship just kind of mind watches off and stuff like that. I would say both sides. I'm such a centrist when it comes to this kind of stuff. But yeah, so 1984, obviously classic. Enjoyability, I would put it like right here. I really enjoyed it. It's a classic book. I believe everyone in their lifetime should read it. Once you get out of the I have to read this for an assignment and you're just reading for enjoyability, it's really good. I want to read the 1984 Julia spin-off, not by George Orwell. It's written by it was written like recently, and it's from the point of view of Julia in the story. So that'll be interesting. Foundation, classic sci-fi does not have like. Classic sci-fi is always like the concept is the main point and the philosophy behind it, and the characters are just like adios amigo, like let's put that on the sideline. Foundation is obviously a foundation of sci-fi. I would put it like, I don't know, like right there. Foundation is good. The concepts are good. I want to read more Foundation stuff, but like it is missing a lot of character work. But like the world and concepts are just so good. Yeah. It's like a better God Emperor Dune, I would say. This is how you lose the Time War. Listen, I thought this was going to be... okay. Enjoyability, though. This one's tough. Okay, so the way this book was sold to me is 2 people that eventually turn into lovers are time traveling back and forth, and they are competing on 2 sides of a like ethereal war. So like they're not physical beings, they're like entities. It's like that sounds really cool. They're both poets, and me, man, like I appreciate good prose, but if that's the whole crux of the book, I like, and there's no meat and potatoes to the story. I just like I start to lose interest, because I was sold on one thing, a time traveling story, and I ended up with love poetry, and it's good poetry and it's good prose and stuff, but like that makes up the majority, and like it's just like I need like an actual like story concept. Now it is cool how it was created. Basically, it's 2 authors, one writing into the point of view of one entity, the other entity, and then they didn't know what each of them were writing, so the story felt kind of fluid and stuff. But that's also what makes it feel highly disorganized, and the ending feeling odd, to say the least. I mean, it's fine, and like I'm sure if you're really into prose and stuff, this will be up there for you. But for me, I was just like, ah. All right, now we're gonna get to the horror stuff. Okay, Tender is Flesh is a world where any animal meat makes humans sick and die. So we have decided to instead rise some humans as cattle, and that's what we use for our meat, essentially. This was more dystopian. The horror is more the psychology behind it. Like, there's no, like, jump scare, like, someone sawed off my arm. Like, it's none of that. It's like, people are, like, basically it follows this guy who's, like, one of the head honchos in, like, a, like, butcher place where, you know, like, what are those called? Like, those farms that, like, where they create meat, essentially, and, like, kill cows and machines and stuff. That's what he's in charge with, but they're all humans and stuff like that. Obviously, this is, like, more about like a reflection of society and stuff like that. Like, it's taking that kind of a stance. And I liked it. I think it, for what it did, it pulled it off very well. I'll put it on top of B. It was a fun little read. It was like maybe below 300 pages, but it was a lot of fun. This is a good icebreaker if you're like, I'm losing my reading motivation. This is a good little book to get you up and running. Oh, hell yeah, brother. Then we have Confessions. This one's a Spanish novel translated, and this is a Japanese novel translated. Confessions is good. It's about, like, this teacher who's getting revenge on these kids who killed her daughter. And it goes through, like, each person involved's lives about that moment. So it takes place from the point of view of a mother of one of the kids. It takes place in two of the kids who were there who helped out with the murder of the teacher's child. The teacher's point of view and stuff like that. I think there's like 6 point of views. I'm not remembering all of them. Oh, a classmate as well. This one was fun. It jumps the fucking shark at the very end. Like, the very ending is some anime plot twist thing, which is crazy, but it is kind of fun to just be, isn't this dark and fucked up? And like, yes, it is dark and fucked up, and I like it. I would put it like right here. Baraska. This is my first time reading Baraska. Yes, I read part 5 too. Part 5 is like a little, it doesn't ruin it for me, but it's like the way Baraska part 1 and 4, like the way Baraska ended off, it was just such a gut punch, but in such a way, and all the clues that were hidden throughout, really, really good. Also, the Creepcast podcast about this, those 2 episodes were really good as well. Baraska's a great read, and even the author of this helps out with like Mike Flanagan stuff. That's the guy who created Hill House, Fall of the House of Usher, and Midnight Mass, which is the best thing he's ever created. But yeah, she's like a story consultant for that, and it's all because of Baraska. A Reddit story, a No Sleep story. I believe it was on No Sleep. But you can read all of Baraska on her website. I would put this... Where am I going to put this? I definitely enjoyed it more than Tender than Flesh. I'm thinking of emotional impact, what it really had for me. It was definitely up there. Definitely. You know what? I would even say, yeah, like Baraska, so good. You have to read it. Or I believe Cole Sprouse, one of the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody actors. He's terrible on Riverdale. Like he's like Jughead, I think, in that, and he's a terrible actor in that. But he does a podcast where he like voices the main lead, and he does a pretty good job. And that's the only time I've ever seen him in an actually good like actorish role. Is that he nails it. Stolen Tongues is really good. It's one of the better Wendigo-esque stories. This one I also heard about in Creepcast, that decided to read like the author's edited pure version, not the Reddit version. Even though the Reddit version is fine, the author's like, I came out with the story again, but like, you know, did some cleanup on the story and everything like that. This one was a lot of fun. I liked it quite a bit. Then we have Scan Lines. This one was not very good. Great concept, just bad delivery on it, honestly. It's about these kids who, like, the concept is really good. What sold me on the book, but actually reading the book is like, there's got to be more meat here. The way it ends, really lame. But basically, these kids see like a live leak video when they're really young kids, and now as adults, like some of them have like committed suicide because of the video. And the video basically depicts a politician killing himself on stage, and then the real life ramifications for those characters. You know, anyone who's grown up around live leak and stuff. There is one video in particular that's in my head that I watched as a kid that like traumatized me. I don't want to talk about it, but like it's one of those like you see it and then it's always in your head, and like sometimes it's always in the back of your head. But like this one is not subtle about it, especially toward the end. Not subtle. Like it goes to like an insane degree, you know. Whereas like if this worked out, it's like just like, oh, it like slowly creeps in on you, but like at some points it's just like the ghost appears multiple times to multiple rate of people. It's just like I'm starting not to care about this, and like a romantic subplot that's just like what, like I don't know. Great concept, did not stick the landing on story and character. Pen Pal is very good. I liked Pen Pal quite a bit. Another creepycast suggestion, and I read the book of. I'll put this like right here. Pen Pal's a lot of fun too. Excuse me. Anyways, that's everything I read this year. Let me guys know what you guys think. A lot of S tier stuff, you know, a lot of great stuff I read this year. You know, even the Deartist ones aren't god awful. They just on enjoyability, it's like But I wouldn't consider any one of these a bad book. Comic book, manga. I believe you should read everything here. If I described it in a short little piece that you said, oh, that piques my interest, then I would highly recommend these. But anyways, guys, yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Stay tuned for when I do my TV and movie tier list, then my video game tier list, and then I will be starting putting out reviews of Brandon Sanderson reviews. I think I'm gonna do Mistborn as a trilogy review. Review it as a trilogy. So expect that pretty soon, probably by next week or so, because I'm almost done with Wells of Ascension, and I'm going to jump right into Age of Heroes immediately after. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.